Guys, it's time to defend Cars.
Okay, so apparently a lot of you guys want me to cover Cars 2, so here that is. Now, I have not watched it yet. I'm going to do another couch rant type thing, but let me explain the reason I did not cover Cars 2. I haven't seen Cars 2 since it came out in theaters, and even as like a 12-year-old, I did not like that movie. And everyone I've ever talked to about Cars always says Cars 2 is awful. So I just thought it was universally hated, and so that's why I ripped it off the board right when I started the video. I thought it'd be like a little funny way to start out the video, like, But apparently there's a weird little cult. Like, don't get me wrong, I still had comments that were like, yeah, frick Cars 2. I can't cuss in the first 2 minutes. But there were still enough comments where I was like, there is a legit cult around Cars 2. And now I'm curious. Now we gotta watch it. The only positive thing that I remember that came out of Cars 2 was the video game. I remember that game was sick. But anyways, let's go watch Cars 2. Alright, so I am 32 minutes into this movie. And surprisingly, I'm having pretty fun. However, I could see it going south pretty quick with all this spy stuff. But first of all, let me just shout out the music in this movie so far. The music in the title screen. Chef's kiss. So the beginning of this movie does start off with a spy sequence. We don't even start in Radiator Springs. We start on a boat and we're with this dude named Finn. He's a spy. Cool guy spy. But yeah, this movie starts off pretty hard. I mean, we almost got a boat shooting another boat. Finn ends up going on the big boat, goes to the oil rig because there's some sort of meeting with bad guys and he's trying to get intel. But he gets spotted because from the oil finery fire, it casts a shadow, and then all the cars are like, and they're like, get that man! And then there's a really cool chase sequence. Once again, the music in this movie is so good. And the chase sequence is actually pretty sick as well. There's a cool little spiral moment where they're doing a spiral. He puts a bomb on a barrel, rolls it down, and it does this chain reaction explosion. It's so sick. And Cars definitely died in that explosion, by the way, but like to put the cherry on top, we actually see a car die. This car flies off the oil rig and we see it dismembered. There's just car parts. The first on-screen death in Cars. Anyways, Finn ends up getting away, and then we cut to Radiator Springs, and we learn that Lightning has 4 piston cups.
He did what in his cup?
And you know what? I had a smile on my face when we were back in Radiator Springs. I mean, like I said in the other video, this is my cozy comfort town. And it's just good to see the Radiator Springs gang all in like the same shot. Because in Cars 3, as you guys know, most of the people in Radiator Springs weren't even in the movie. And if they were in it for 5 seconds. And on top of that, something that is already better than Cars 3 is the humor. So there's this world race that got announced, and cars from all around the world are gonna race, and Lightning McQueen was invited, but he was like, oh, I just finished the season, my team isn't ready. So that's announced on the TV, and there's a Italian car, Francesco, who pretty much says, Lightning McQueen is a coward, and if he races, I will beat his ass. Since it's like a TV program where they take calls from listeners, they take a call, and then they're like, this call is from Radiator Springs, and then all of a sudden you hear Mater on the radio like, you can't beat Lightning McQueen! And, you know, it was just funny. It was just Mater talking shit. And then Francesco's like, well, where is Lightning? Then get him over here. Lightning calls in and he's like, well, yeah, wow. Yeah, I'll be there. Now we got some competition. Also, an important thing to mention is that Sally's low-key thirsting for Francisco. She likes how Francisco has open wheels. And so the race is in Japan. So we move to Japan and Lightning ends up bringing Mater. And so now they're in Japan. And by the way, it's pretty sick. The cool little like montage we get when we're first driving through Japan is nice. It looks visually nice. You can tell the animation was better. It doesn't have that like thing I complain about in Cars 3 where it was like hyper realistic. It's just nice to see that like this is still animated and stylized. Just the Japan vibe was really nice. So there's this like racing banquet party thing the day before the race, and Mater is kind of acting a fool because you know how Mater is, you know, his manners suck. And then he ends up approaching Francisco, but obviously Lightning doesn't really want to do that because they're beefing, but actually this scene is actually really nice. They set up the tension of the race and the stakes very well because Francisco is like, oh, Lightning, you look very attractive in person. Not as attractive as I thought, but still attractive. And it's just classic shit talking. And then Mater, being a fool, is like, "Yeah, his girlfriend Sally really likes you. She's a big fan." And he's like, "Oh, then tomorrow's win will go out to Sally." And then Lightning's like, "Oh, wow." And yeah, it was just a good back and forth shit talking. The tension is there. I buy it. Let's get this race going. I'm pumped. But then at this race banquet, out of nowhere, we get the dude from the beginning, the Finn, the spy guy. And then you're kind of reminded like, oh yeah, this movie started off as like a spy thing. And guys, I hate to say it, but Sally's got some competition with this purple baddie car. I don't even remember her name. I was caught up in her windshield. Bro, she got some great lips. And while we're at this banquet, Mater is still acting a fool and goes up to a like sushi bar type thing, and he thinks that wasabi is pistachio ice cream, and the dude serves him a little thing of wasabi, and then Mater's like, "What the hell is that? Keep putting more." That was probably the worst. By the way, guys, I have a sore throat, so whenever I try to do these impressions, they're gonna be awful. And I got Tylenol flowing through my body right now. I popped so many Tylenol. Anyways, there's kind of a funny wasabi joke here.
Wasabi.
Oh, same old, same old. What's up with you?
And then obviously this escalates to Mater eating wasabi, thinking it's ice cream. And then Lightning McQueen is being interviewed at this banquet thing. All of a sudden, Mater's like, "Ah!" And then causes like a huge scene, and Lightning is like extra annoyed now. And then yeah, it was just embarrassing. Mater accidentally leaks, so he goes to the bathroom, and in the bathroom there's a spy, and the spy that we first see is working for the Finn guy. And then he looks in the mirror, and there's two cars like right behind him, so they're the bad guys. Mater comes out, then the spy guy puts a tracker with like information right in Mater's gooch. Mater doesn't know this, so he just drives out of the bathroom. Finn is like on the radio with the purple baddie, and he's like, "Yo, I have someone here that's working for me. Go find him. I need him." And so she follows the tracker, but the tracker's on Mater. And there's actually a really funny joke here.
Is he American?
Look out, ladies. Mater's fitting to get funky.
Extremely.
This movie's better than Cars 3. Okay, wait, let me not get ahead of myself. Anyways, I paused right after the second on-screen death. That dude from the bathroom that's working with Finn, he got captured by the bad guys and they blew his ass up. Anyways, yeah, that's just how I feel 32 minutes into this. I do want to say, if this movie goes downhill, it's because of the spy stuff. Because I'm actually pretty invested in this race because of the Francisco and Lightning beef. Let's see where I am in the next 30 minutes. I kind of predicted it. It's going downhill because of the spy stuff. But before I get into the spy stuff, it was going for another good 10 minutes. Like it was pretty solid. We got into the first race, and I really like how they added track variety in it. We're in Japan doing this race, and some of it is asphalt and some of it is dirt. And this was really good stuff. Until the spy stuff. So Mater is Lightning's crew chief, but Mater is also in the middle of the spy thing because he has that tracker thing on him. And something else I haven't mentioned yet, the bad guys have this weapon. They found a weakness in the all-in-all oil, and they made this like camera looking device, and they're able to like shoot an electric shock at an all-in-all fueled car and make it spin out and malfunction. By the way, to make this less confusing, all of the cars are fueled by all-in-all. This whole race is sponsored by a new type of renewable fuel. So long story short, the bad guys are trying to sabotage all-in-all. And the good guy spies are trying to stop that. But the thing is, the bad guys realize that Mater is there, and they're like, "That's the dude in the bathroom. That's one of the spies." So then they try to attack Mater. And then the good guy spies hack Mater's comms with Lightning on the track. The girl is like, she's like, "You need to get out of there. They're right outside." And then Mater's like, "Outside?" And then Lightning's like, "What, Mater? Are you sure? Are you sure I should go outside?" And then Lightning changes his inner position on the track to the outside position, and then Francisco passes him. And then Francisco ends up winning the race because of that, because of the stupid spy people hacking the comms. And I know that that's like intentional, but it's still an annoying like plot device for Lightning to come in second place, because the spy stuff is still a little confusing right now, and we don't really know fully what's going on. Therefore, we are not fully invested. We are fully invested in this race though. It's been built up really well. These are characters we know and love, and so obviously our main attention and our main interest is in the race. We get a scene where Lightning presses Mater about, the race, about the whole outside call. He's like, I lost the race because of you. And then Mater feels all bad, and then we get sad music like we're supposed to sympathize with Mater. But Mater legit just lost him the race. Like him listening to the spy people interfere and him just going along with it and not like focusing on the race, like it just makes him look stupid. And like, why should we feel bad for Mater? Like, he's stupid. He's also pretty dumb in the first one, but that was mainly for comedic effect. Mater has somewhat of a brain, Like, he's not all that stupid, but in this movie, they make him completely stupid, and everything he does is on accident. Everything like cool he does is on accident. Everything bad he does is on accident. And Mater is literally the main character of this movie, because after this race, we spend like 12 to 15 minutes with Mater with his spy buddies. They think that he's a spy. The Mater and spy stuff is getting annoying, but thankfully we cut away from that. We cut to Guido and Luigi in Italy, and it's really wholesome because they're like hyped as hell that they're in their homeland. But then we get a scene with Lightning, and Lightning feels bad. Why would Lightning like feel this bad for Mater? He completely embarrassed himself and his brand. And then we cut back to the spy stuff, and Mater is flirting with the purple baddie, and I can't blame him, obviously. And then we get more scenes of Mater accidentally doing something good, and then the spies are like, oh my gosh, you clearly know what you're doing. And the spy plot itself is going completely off the rails, because now we're tracking this blue car, and that blue car is a tow truck. So Mater's gonna go on this undercover tow truck mission pretending he's one of the bad guys. It's just not interesting. The second race is about to start. It's in Italy, so at least we're about to get into the more interesting stuff, which is, Lightning's race. I wonder how he's gonna do without Mater. I will see you at the end of the movie. There's only 36 minutes left, so yeah, I'll see you in 30 minutes. So, I don't really know how to explain it, but something about the last 30 minutes of that movie is so mentally draining that I just ended the movie, went live on Twitch, and I couldn't even tell what a weasel was. Ferret!
It's a weasel.
Yeah, we have a lot to cover in this last 30 minutes, so buckle up. So remember how I was complaining that this whole movie that Mater is a complete idiot? Yeah, they address that in the movie, and we get a whole scene where the Finn dude calls him oh yeah, you're playing an idiot. That's why you're such a good spy, because people are so busy laughing at you that you can get away with being a spy. And then this sends Mater down into the shadow realm, and he's having Vietnam flashbacks of all the times he's embarrassed himself. So that's a scene that happened. We'll kind of talk about that later. I just need to get to the race. So the race starts, and we are in Italy. It's beautiful. Lightning and Francisco's beef is still relevant, and I'm still invested in the race. This is by far the best part of the movie. And to give a little bit more context, the all-in-all fuel is clean, renewable fuel that will replace gas. And of course, we get the bad spies again with that camera thing, sniping cars practically and causing crashes. And then there's news coverage that's oh my gosh, all in all is so screwed. What are we gonna do? And then they interview the CEO, and the CEO is oh man, we have to continue the race, but we cannot continue using all in all. Anyways, Lightning and Francisco have no idea that people are getting sniped on the track, so they end up finishing in the top 2, and Lightning actually wins this race. So technically, Lightning should have won both races. The only reason why he lost the first race, once again, is because of Mater's stupid interference with the spy stuff. Anyways, there's just kind of this weird, confusing moment where they interview Lightning after the race, and he's oh wow, I feel so bad about the crashes. And then they're what fuel are you gonna use in the next race then? And then Lightning's all in all, what? And then he continues talking I let a friend down recently, and I need to just stick this all in all thing out. It's what does that have to do with you and Mater? You running on all in all fuel? If you're seeing that people are crashing, why are you gonna risk your safety because like you and Mater had beef earlier in the movie. It's a little bit, actually it's a lot of a stretch. It's a stretch. Like there's no like guilt trip if Lightning switches oil. Anyway, so the bad guys hear about this news and they're like, we need to kill Lightning. And then a bunch of stuff happens, like Mater's undercover job ends up going south. And then he accidentally activates the guns, shoots his way out of it, coincidentally says, oh shoot, and then a parachute deploys and he goes away. So once again, Mater is getting out of these situations by accident because of how stupid he is. Anyways, I guess it doesn't really matter because once he lands from the parachute thing, he ends up getting kidnapped. So the good guy spies and Mater are now in Big Ben in London because that's where the last race is. So they're tied up in the Big Ben Tower and the bad guy spies are about to assassinate Lightning McQueen. But for some reason, by plot convenience, the camera gun thing doesn't work anymore and they have to go to plan B. By the way, just to explain this now, the camera gun didn't work on Lightning McQueen because it is later revealed that off-screen, Fillmore swapped out Lightning's all-in-all fuel with organic fuel, like, you know, the running bit that's been going on in the Cars movies that he's like, oh, I have organic fuel. Can we just sit here and think about how convenient and stupid this is? Then Mater tries to activate the Gatling guns and shoot the villains. And the villains are like, haha, you can't shoot us because we took all of the bullets out. But they're stupid because they didn't take out the guns. Did they not think the guns would loosen the rope? Anyways, so that's how Mater ended up escaping, is because of the Gatling guns loosening the rope. When Mater is leaving Big Ben on the way to the race to go save Lightning, there is a pretty funny just one-liner joke.
What's everybody on the wrong side of the road for?
Anyway, so the bad guys' plan is that they have a bomb in Lightning McQueen's pit stop.
We snuck a bomb in McQueen's pit.
So that's just a thing. But psych, it actually turns out the bomb is installed in Mater. So now Mater has a bomb in him. And so when Mater finds this out, he's already at the pit stop and Lightning is about to be like, hey Mater. And then Mater's like, get the hell away from me. And then he's literally like, I have a bomb. And then Lightning is like,
you've always been the bomb, and you'll always be the bomb. Stay away! No!
Lightning gets really close to Mater and they try to detonate the bomb, but the bomb is too far out of range now. So the spy guys, since they're free now, Finn is catching up to like the main bad spy guy, but he catches this trying to leave on the boat, and the boat has this big magnet thing that is keeping him away from, you know, getting him. But then Finn releases mines on the boat, and then so the magnets suck the mines, and they set off a fucking nuke in London. Look, when I was first recording this, I was gonna let a detail of this scene slide, but now that I'm editing it, I don't care, I'm gonna mention it. So the boat is using its magnet to pull the bad guy closer to the boat so Finn can't catch him, and while doing this, it's shooting missiles at Finn, but the magnet on the boat is active, so any sort of metal projectile would be just sucked back up into the magnet. And then we cut away for the chase of where Lightning and Mater is, and we still have to figure out how to deactivate this bomb. By the way, Purple Baddie can fly now.
They fly now?
So at this point, the movie has gotten so ridiculous that this part is just kind of funny.
Yeah, they strapped it to me to kill you as a backup plan.
Backup plan? Mater, who put a bomb on you?
So we learned that the bomb can only be deactivated by the maker of the bomb. And so they have the bad guy captured now, and they're like, say deactivate. And he's like, fine. Deactivate, and then it doesn't work, and then it actually chops down the time. So now the bomb is about to detonate in like 5 minutes, and then we get surrounded by all the bad guy spies, and then right when you think like, oh, they're totally surrounded and this is totally over, the Radiator Springs people show up and they just save the day, and then everyone's just kind of kicking ass, and it's really random. Because how did the Radiator Springs people know where they were? I mean, I guess it's not that hard following like the destruction they caused on the way there, but still. And a detail here that is crazy is that the cop puts a boot on one of these cars, and I just can't stop thinking about how this cop is out of his jurisdiction, and he's putting boots on cars. in London. Anyways, Mater finally has a moment where he's not completely stupid and he ends up solving who's behind this whole thing. And then he's like, I gotta go tell the Queen. So then they fly over to the Queen. But the thing is, Mater has a freaking bomb on him. So the security's like, oh my god, he's gonna blow up the Queen. So that part's kind of funny. At this point, it's like so ridiculous that you just kind of accept it. Anyways, Mater's like, I know who is behind it all. It is actually the CEO who made All in All Fuel. So then everyone's like, why would he do that? I guess the whole thing is that he made this alternative renewable fuel and intentionally made it look bad because they're making so much money off of the already existing fuel. It's also revealed that Mater wasn't the one that was leaking. It was the bad guy because he's not an actual electric car, because that was set up earlier. He's like an electric car, but he's not an electric car. He's a fraud. This part kind of goes hard though. So the bomb is about to blow up in like 10 seconds, so everyone's clearing out. But Mater is standing his ground, and he knows that if he's right next to the guy that's doing it, he has to say deactivate in order for that bomb to deactivate. And guess what happens? That's exactly what happens. What a sentence I just said. But yeah, that's what happens.
Deactivate!
That part kind of went hard, not gonna lie. So anyways, the dude gets arrested, and after this bomb deactivation, Lightning just pulls up and says this corny line.
It's official. You're coming to all my races from now on.
Anyways, so since Mater saved the day, the Queen dubs him, and we actually get this really funny scene where Mater introduces the Queen to McQueen.
Queen, McQueen, McQueen, Queen, McQueen, McMissile, McMissile, McQueen, Queen, McMissile.
And then we cut to Radiator Springs, and then the baddie, the purple baddie, flies in out of nowhere and literally just says that, like, she's Mater's girlfriend.
I'm Mater's girlfriend.
So, okay. I don't even think she was in the third Cars movie. And then the cars meet up in Radiator Springs and do a final race. And Francisco and Lightning's beef is just kind of squashed, I guess. Sally's like, ew, Francisco's not even that attractive in person. And then Lightning's like, oh, yeah, good try, Sally. And then she's like, no, I'm serious. And then Lightning drives away. And then when he drives away, Flo pulls up. And Sally and Flo are like, oh my god, he's hot. Oh my gosh, bro, you can't trust no car hoe. Anyways, the movie ends with like the spies leaving, and they're like, if you need anything, let us know. And then Mater's like, I want rockets on my car. And then Mater's rocketing around Radiator Springs, and that's the end of the movie. So, final thoughts. I really liked the first act of this movie. I thought the spy stuff was pretty cool in the first act. I thought the build up to the races was done really well. I felt the tension between McQueen and Francisco. But then when the second act hit, we were just focusing way too much on the spy stuff, and it kind of got convoluted. And choosing Mater as the main character was not the greatest idea. Like, I get it, the kids love Mater. He was funny in the first movie, but like, they did not need to do that in this movie. And then the third act of this movie, your brain is just kind of fried at this point, because you're just like, yeah, this is what it is. That's how it is. I will say, at least the humor stayed pretty solid throughout the whole thing. This movie was way more funny than Cars 3. So if you're wondering what I give Cars 2, first of all, let me just remind you, I did give Cars 3 a 3 out of 10. Like, that movie mainly pissed me off because that is the send-off that we get for Lightning. Are you kidding? All that build-up, and then that's how it is. But in Cars 2, the things that were pissing me off was just Mater on his, like, stupid side spy missions. So I think, like, Cars 2 was more messy, but Cars 3 I just took a little bit more personally. Honestly, both of these Cars sequels just aren't very good. Like, the first movie was so good because it was about enjoying the small moments in life and, you know, just taking in the present. You know, you don't need to have everything in the world to enjoy life. But in this, it's like, look at these spy gadgets, look at the action. And then Cars 3 was like, let's take it back to racing. However, let's have the main character not finish the race that we've been building up the whole entire movie. But I think I had a bit more enjoyment out of Cars 2 because we got more screen time with the Radiator Springs squad. The humor was better, and the first act was legitimately really freaking good. Cars 3 just kind of made me feel kind of empty. It kind of felt like hollow. And so I give Cars 2 a 4 out of 10. Well, guys, that's gonna wrap up my thoughts on the Cars trilogy. If you want me to cover the Cars video games, let me know in the comments. But I don't want to become, obviously don't want to be a Cars channel. You know, if it sounds interesting, let me know. Who knows? Maybe I'll do it. Life is a highway. If you're new, feel free to subscribe. I am going to be doing more videos on the YouTube channel that I have. But yeah, thank you guys for tagging along, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.